The Australian Grand Prix concluded last weekend, making it the third successive win for Red Bull. As usual, Aston Martin booked the last podium place, continuing their good form in the 2023 season. But the biggest improvement was shown by Mercedes, who faced huge criticism with the continuing of their zero-pod design, which failed over the last season. Even the team principal, Toto Wolff, called for an immediate change of the existing design of W14 through upgrades, as it was not performing up to the expected level in the season opener race in Bahrain. They showed a small improvement at the second race with the help of minor upgrades that were introduced before the race in Saudi Arabia. They expect to bring the first major upgrade before the race in Azerbaijan. So they appeared to be much more challenging to Red Bull and Aston Martin with the minor upgrades that have been introduced before the race in Albert Park. Through this video, we are going to investigate about the improvements shown by the Silver Arrows in Australia and their future upgrade plans after this surprising refinement. But before we proceed, hit the subscribe button and smash the bell icon for more exciting updates. Mercedes gave a tougher fight to all the top teams during qualifying and booked second and third positions in the starting grid. They were clearly equal to Aston Martin in terms of pace and beat Fernando Alonso with both Russell and Hamilton. However, they are still with a small deficit to Red Bull, who won the first 3 races of the season. At the end of Q3 in qualifying, Max Verstappen's lap time was recorded at 1 minute 16.732 seconds, and he beat the Mercedes driver George Russell only by 236 milliseconds. All these lap times were evidence that they were the second fastest team in the grid, just after some minor upgrades. Mercedes engineers promised to introduce some visible changes to their W14, and the Silver Arrows will surely be a clear title contender alongside Red Bull and Aston Martin after those upgrades. George Russell started the race in front, raw, and stole the lead from pole sitter Max Verstappen within a few seconds after the commencement of the race. After the crash, race control called for a full safety car session, and Russell entered the pit lane for a tyre change, handing over the lead to his teammate Lewis Hamilton. He lost some important track position as the session was red flagged suddenly. Then he tried to charge through the pack with full throttle after the race restart to regain the positions he had lost. Unfortunately, his power unit caught fire suddenly and had to give up on the race. But he was satisfied with the progress of the W14 until that point, and said that the pace was quite surprising on his final lap of qualifying. "I think we're learning more and more about this car. We know it's not where we want it to be," he explained, "but it's probably evolved just with the setup since Bahrain to Jeddah to here. We've seen that performance improvement with the exact same car. For sure, tyres played a big part this weekend, as Max alluded to, and the pace on the final lap was quite surprising. Really pleased to just be 2.5 tenths off when we were a second off on other occasions." Russell arrived at Mercedes after passing its golden era, and in the last season, he had a somewhat messy thing to drive, with several aerodynamic issues. However, he is now confident in the current status of the W14, and named it as the best car he has ever raced. All these are good signs from the Mercedes garage regarding the upgrade process of the W14. "I think the feeling of the car is not the limitation. It feels pretty decent. It's probably the best F1 car I have ever raced, but we're just lacking a bit of downforce. But we know we have made some huge gains over the past 2 or 3 weeks, and hopefully we'll be bringing that to the track sooner rather than later," he added further. Team principal Toto Wolff is very happy with the progress that has been made by the Mercedes engineering team with their W14. However, he warned Mercedes engineers not to get carried away with the surprising progress that they had made at the Australian Grand Prix. Toto Wolff said, "I think we need to be careful not to oscillate between mania and depression. We need to keep the thinking rationally. And what we've seen today is that there's a lot of potential in unlocking the car. It is clear that we need to take the right decisions for the long term, and in that respect, we will continue to race the best possible package we have, whether that is a narrow body or a wide wide body is irrelevant. We just need to have more downforce in the sweet spot of the car. The team have committed to change its concept with upgrades and hopes to make a mega-scale change at Imola, so he advised the engineers not to make any sudden decision based on the results at Albert Park. With the failure of the W14 in the season opener race in Bahrain, Toto Wolff explained that the unexpected victory in Brazil diverted the development process of W14, and he wanted to make sure that similar things are not repeated again. These are exactly the swings that we must avoid, because obviously you're delivering such a good qualifying today and it swings into exuberance, he said. And we're like, okay, everything we thought was wrong, and let's continue to develop the car. And then when the next bad result happens, we think the other way around. We have never had a ballpark on what the car needs to look like. We know exactly where we got it wrong. We also know that there's some goodness in the car, especially if we do every step over the weekend right and are able to extract what is in the car. Formula One is ready to race in the streets of Baku in the last weekend of April, and Mercedes will go for a considerable upgrade ahead of this race. This will help them to close their pace deficit with Red Bull and can expect a closer battle between old rival teams. Mercedes engineers are now focusing mainly on the aerodynamic issues of the car. However, they faced an issue with the engine of Russell's car as it caught fire suddenly when it was running with its full power. In order to challenge the dominance of Red Bull, they have to be free of any kind of issue. What do you think about the progress made by Mercedes at Albert Park? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel to get more exciting Formula One news. See you in the next video, guys. Goodbye.